Welcome back to The Fight. I'm Jack Nolan. As medical director of the intensive care unit at Robert Wood Johnson, Dr. Michael Rodricks was already familiar with caring for critically ill patients. But in the last few weeks, he's been faced with a new reality, an influx of COVID-19 patients so overwhelming, his ICU had to double in size. Dr. Rodricks, welcome to The Fight.
Thank you, Jack. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. Can you give us a sense of what it's like on the front lines and how serious this disease is?
Sure. The front lines are very intense. This is a very virulent pathogen. It is very devastating to certain patients who contract it, and the complications of it go from strokes to respiratory failure, kidney failure, cardiogenic shock, renal failure, and need for dialysis. So it's a very virulent pathogen in a subset of patients that end up in my ICU.
Now, doubling the capacity of an ICU sounds like a monumental task. How did you do that, and what did it entail?
It really is an all-hands-on-deck effort. It's a group collaborative effort, just like a team. We have a 16-bed ICU at Somerset. And typically, our capacity is 12 patients or so about 75% capacity. We might have 4 or 5 patients on the ventilator at a time. So since the middle of March, we've had no less than 30 patients in the ICU, quote-unquote ICU, since we've expanded our capacity 2 to 2.5-fold. We've had 25 to 35 patients on the ventilator at all times. So to do that, what we've done is we've had collaborative meetings with administration and multidisciplinary rounds. We have redeployed assets, so to speak. So all the elective procedures, cases, and ongoings at the hospital have immediately ceased. So there's no elective surgeries going on. We've redeployed those assets, anesthesiologists, intensivists, acute care surgeons to cover the ICU. So from having typically 1 intensivist on per day to cover the ICU, we've had 2 or 3 on every single day for the last 8 weeks.
Now, with the ICU so flooded with COVID patients, what impact has that had on the general public who may not be infected with COVID-19, but who suffer some serious medical situation?
That's a very good question. And the answer is there's a tremendous fear in the community of coming into the hospital. People don't want to go near the hospital because they feel they're going to get infected if they walk through the door. So we've seen a significant drop in the emergency room visits, a significant drop in surgical cases. There's no elective surgeries, just emergency surgeries. So people are unfortunately choosing to stay at home when they have a heart attack, a stroke, intra-abdominal catastrophe, and various other emergency type procedure or emergency type situations where they would otherwise go to the hospital. People have sat at home for 2 and 3 days, and they come in with heart attacks and multi-organ failure because they've been sitting at home and not getting the care that they need. So I certainly want to use this platform to urge the public, listen, if you're having a heart attack, a stroke, appendicitis type things, or intra-abdominal issues, come to the hospital. You will get good care. You will not get COVID at the hospital. The hospital is very safe. They check everybody's temperature at the door, including mine. They screen everybody. Everybody wears a mask. So it's quite safe because, look, if there's anybody that's going to get COVID out there, it's me, because I've cared for hundreds of patients with COVID. And, knock on wood, I've been able to, with personal protective equipment, not contract COVID yet.
That is terrific advice for everyone. I know my wife happens to work in the medical industry and hear stories every day of medical professionals battling COVID-19. I know it is stressful. I know it is exhausting. Can you share with us some moments that have inspired you through all this?
Sure. There's been a lot from the community outreach has been tremendous. The generosity of local restaurants who have really supplied us with food every day. We're eating quite well in the hospital and in the ICU. We get food donated every day from the local restaurants, from some of the church organizations and have sent us PPE. So we've had enough PPE, thank God, at the hospital to keep everybody safe and not put anyone in harm's way. And some of the stories of our patients are, heartwarming. We've had a husband and wife, both of whom ended up in my ICU next to each other, both on ventilators, both critically ill. And we have really restricted the visitation at the hospital just with everything that's going on. But we have very good communication with families. And I was calling the son every day and giving him updates. And mom got better first. Mom was in the hospital first and in the ICU. And then dad got sick and was in the ICU on the exact bed next to his wife. And luckily, we were able to get them both extubated out of the ICU, and both are now at home with their son and doing well. We had another correctional officer who was just discharged yesterday to big fanfare and a big police and firefighter parade after 42 days in the hospital. Got him better. He is a correctional officer who contracted COVID in the line of work. So he was able to be discharged yesterday to rehab. So some really good outcomes that we're having here at Somerset.
Dr. Rodricks, I know your time away from the ICU is precious to you right now. Thank you for giving us some time tonight, and thank you for your courage and commitment to service during this very trying time in our country.
Jack, hey, it's my pleasure. And as always, go Irish.
Go Irish, yes.